of all, thanks a lot for Kavita and the BackBone team for having this opportunity to talk to you all today. And I'm going to share with you a bit of a new approach on how to unlock growth in your business online. So first of all, I just wanted to start by identifying, where we need to be thinking differently when we're thinking about marketing or digital marketing. So on the left here, you can see a fairly familiar traditional marketing strategy framework. And so when we're thinking about digital marketing, having worked with hundreds of SMEs over the last decade or longer, I really noticed that they apply traditional marketing to digital marketing. And, this is where, the biggest challenge is in terms of growing your business online. And so where we really need to start to think about our business differently or our marketing tactics differently with digital is in the execution phase. So all those other phases, the marketing mix, understanding all your customer, they're absolutely relevant, for the digital space. But once we get into the execution, this is where we need to sort of start to think differently about our marketing. So there's a number of differences that I've listed here on these slides between traditional marketing and online marketing. However, I'm just going to focus on the most relevant factors, which are the algorithms and always on marketing. So algorithms are actually designed to optimize results against the objectives that you're setting. So if you are running Google ads, search, SEM, Facebook ads, etc. And algorithms are actually designed to drive results, but they perform best with a lot of data over longer timeframes. So for algorithms to perform, they require this, what I call an always-on marketing approach. And so what this means is that if you use traditional campaigns, so these bursts of activities, then you're not really leveraging the algorithm's function. And this can also be an expensive way and an ineffective way to grow your business. So this is what I see often when I'm working with businesses and their revenue looks like because they're running traditional marketing campaigns in the digital environment. So this is just an example of a month-to-month chart, when businesses are running campaigns such as, your Black Friday or Valentine's Day, and they focus all their activities around different promotional events. And you can see here that the returns are inconsistent. So starting and stopping campaigns like Valentine's Day or Black Friday, Cyber Monday don't work with digital algorithms. And as I mentioned earlier, because algorithms need for you to have time in market to gather enough data so that they can actually optimize towards your activity. And it's based on more statistical significance or validity because it has enough data to actually optimize towards the objective that you've set. And algorithms are designed to optimize for that objective. So whether it's lead generation, whether it's video views, add to carts, conversions, somebody booking in for your services, if you set your objective and give the algorithms time, then you will actually find that you have a lot more of an effective cost per return on whatever that objective is that you've set. So how do we actually leverage algorithms and an always-on marketing approach? And so this is where I talk about looking through a different lens. So I'm actually going to share with you my e-commerce growth framework, which I specifically developed to drive sustainable month-on-month growth for businesses. Even though I have titled the framework with e-commerce, it does the same philosophy does apply to any business using digital platforms. So if you are in digital, you have a website, you have social channels, I'm assuming you're there for a purpose, not just for fun. And so that being whether it's, again, wanting somebody to book in for an appointment or whether that's getting somebody to complete a form or purchase a product, the same thinking still applies. So I have used this framework with both startups through to established e-commerce businesses turning over millions of dollars annually online. And what I've really found is that the framework not only simplified digital marketing for business owners, but it provided consistent growth over time. And the longer that businesses actually commit to the framework, the more their revenue consistently grows to new levels. So I'll now introduce the e-commerce growth framework. So I have identified 8 pillars that form the building blocks of e-commerce growth. And you can see these around the inner center of the framework. So you can see starting with branding for growth and then continuing all the way through to social paid media. And then the outer circle of the framework actually shows 3 growth stages. And so the first stage is laying your foundations. Once you have your foundations in place, then we can start to layer up growth tactics, which are more aggressive growth tactics, and then going into scaling your business for looking at more of a customized strategy. And so no matter which growth stage you're actually in, all of these e-commerce pillars play a part in layering up tactics to grow your business. So there's definitely additional marketing levers that you might be thinking about and not on this chart, such as influencers, affiliates, partnerships, marketplaces, etc. These actually come into the scale stage within the framework because they actually take a lot more time and strategy to bring into your business, and you really want to have all the foundations and effective growth tactics in place before ideally you branch out into those areas. So I'll just briefly touch on each of the 8 pillars just to give you a better sense of what they're all about. So branding for growth is the first pillar, and this is referring to your visual design, tone of voice, and messaging being consistent across all of your digital touch points. So whether that's your social channels, if you have an app, your website, etc. And you can see here, I've actually developed what I call a branding cheat sheet, which includes 7 basics of branding for growth online. And so this is really not just having these things in your mind, but having them clearly documented so that as you're growing your business, whether you have social media people working for you, advertising people, SEO people, you've actually got real clarity on each of these. So we're looking at your vision statement, mission statement, company core values, USP, your target audience, your brand archetype, and tone of voice. The second pillar is data, analytics, and insights. And there is a saying that you can't manage what you can't measure. And this is especially true when it comes to growing online. Google Analytics is the preferred e-commerce analytics platform, and it's the most popular and it's free. Like almost 80% of websites worldwide use Google Analytics. So if you do have a website and you haven't taken a look at your Google Analytics, then this is something that I think is really important. And with Google Analytics, it's you can't just connect it to your website and it's going to give you all the information you need. There are a number of settings within it that need to be set up. So if you do have a developer, make sure that you've got your Google Analytics set up properly based on your objectives and your type of business. Our third pillar is conversion rate optimization, also known as CRO. And this is basically when you make changes to your website that improve your customer's journey and therefore increases your website conversion rate. So to calculate your conversion rate, you actually divide the number of sales or engagements or form submissions, depending on what your objective is for your website, and then dividing it by the total number of visitors during a given time frame. So you might look at it over 6 months, or you might look at it over the past month. And then you multiply that by 100 as it's usually expressed as a percentage. It's best to look at your average conversion rate month on month, because you can start to see some fluctuations and try to identify why is it higher at certain times or why is it lower. Also, interesting stat that the average global conversion rate is currently at 1.82%. And this varies depending on your industry. But before actually conducting any conversion rate tactics on your website, I highly recommend that you have Google Analytics set up so that when you make changes, you can actually measure any of the impacts of those changes that you've made on your website.
Claudia, I have a question. At what point would you recommend executing conversion rate optimization for a business?
Straight away. So for example, as long as if you have a website and you've got your Google Analytics set up properly, then conversion rate optimization is the first thing you want to do. So having a look at what your current conversion rate is, and then looking at how can you improve that customer journey. So when you start to look at some data, you can see where there might be breaks in the funnel. So there's statistics out there that have the funnel journey, and at each stage there's sort of average benchmarks. So you can see when people, what is the drop off from people going from a product or a services page to a checkout page or a sign up page. And if you're, if you have a low conversion just between those steps, then you know that that's somewhere that you need to spend some more time to educate your customers who are coming through that journey.
Claudia, can I just ask, this is if you're selling, this is for e-commerce side, if you sell online.
This is I talk about the framework as e-commerce, but I work with services businesses as well that are looking for people to fill in registration forms or to book in, meetings through a calendar. So if you have a website and you want it to do something and engage in some way, then this still applies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. So, so the fourth pillar is SEO. So search engine optimization can be overwhelming. It's a very, very big pillar to tackle. So I've actually broken it down into 3 steps just to simplify how to approach it. So the first step is technical SEO, and technical SEO is a process of helping search engines crawl, access, interpret, and index your website. And that includes things like, your site structure, your navigation, content structure, your headings, that sort of stuff. The second bucket I talk about is relevancy, and this is really around your content marketing strategy. So relevancy is about having content on your website that's relevant for users, and the more people that visit your site and read your content and find it useful, that starts to increase your organic rankings. And then the third component is authority, and I'd suggest doing this after you've got your technical audit done and you've got your website up to speed with from a technical perspective. Then you start to build out your content, and then finally you work on your authority. And so that's, as I mentioned, that's the backlinks component. If you are working in SEO or you have somebody working with you, what I would suggest is that if you haven't had a SEO technical audit done on your website in the past 6 months, that's probably the best place to start. Having your website optimized for search engines is definitely the first step in terms of growing your organic traffic. I do actually have an SEO expert in my network that charges $300 to do an SEO technical audit. So if that's something that you needed help with, by all means, reach out to me and I can connect you. So fifth pillar is email marketing automation. And when we talk about email marketing automation, it's sending out marketing emails to your customers and prospects automatically based on a schedule or a trigger that you have defined. So we're not necessarily talking about, one-off promotional emails or transactional emails like these examples. So the real difference is in the term marketing, and marketing automation is focused on efforts that are going to nurture your new leads, but also upsell to your existing client base. So I won't go into too much detail here, but I did just want to share where the opportunities are to set up automated email marketing series that will be triggered while you sleep, and that really supports the always on marketing approach. So on the left side here, you can see the nurturing funnel, and on the left side, and then on the right side, you can see the retention funnel. And just having a look at the words in blue here, they're examples of automation series that you can set up for each of these stages through the funnel. So for example, when people are interested and they subscribe to you, you can send them a welcome series. You can do an abandoned cart series, and so on. I've actually worked with a client that over a number of years that I've been working with them, we built out 12 different automations with about 250 emails, and they generate about 18% of her revenue every month without having to do anything else. So it's such an effective channel to utilize. So moving on to social media channels, these are just only some of them. We know there's so many of them out there. I would highly suggest that you don't overcommit yourself to too many social channels. You know, organic content can be a high effort for businesses with minimal return. So it's really helpful to have a structured approach rather than an ad hoc approach. So I've just put together some questions that you can ask yourself to start to put some structure around your social strategy. So the first one is, which channels are you actually using? And each social channel is beneficial for businesses in different ways. So are you looking to get brand awareness? Are you using it for business development? Are you using it for customer service? And also really understanding the different SKUs of audiences that are on those channels. The channel purpose, really going, each channel has a different purpose, and what am I utilizing that for? So again, is it to generate sales? Am I looking to build a community? Is it for customer service? You know, what are your key metrics, and are you looking at metrics that are going to help move your business forward rather than just followers and likes? You know, are we looking for website clicks or engagement? Now, posting frequency, really my recommendation here is we're looking at quality over quantity. It was a real key factor rather than going, I just have to get something out. It's actually putting out something that is quality. And when you do that, we're looking for consistency as well. So the algorithms reward consistency. So if you can only do one post a week or one post every 2 weeks, if you are consistent with quality content, then that's going to help with more engagement. And then the final question is on your content pillars and content direction. So what are the content themes or pillars that you're using to be relevant to your audience? Are you using the best formats for each of the platforms? Because all the platforms have different formats that perform better for their platform. And then also the final point here is, what are you doing from a content variations perspective? So not just posting the same content on different platforms, but really understanding what the unique purpose of each platform is and varying your content to match that. We're almost there. So search engine marketing, again, this can be a beast, like similar to SEO. I'm just going to touch on 4 key tactics that you should be considering in your foundation stage. You may already have this set up. The first one is Google Ads. So this is an example here of what Google Ads look like. The next is Google Shopping on the right-hand side. And if you do have products, you can set up Google Shopping using Google Merchant Center. And then these ad blocks act as search engines and come up when people are searching for your particular product. They don't do it for services, though, at this stage. The next tactic is retargeting. And so this is basically when you're tracking your visitors when they leave your website without buying, and you can serve them up an ad at a later time to get them to come back to your website. It's a really, really smart way to engage visitors, and it's really cost efficient. If you think about earlier, I said about 1.82% of people only buy on their first visit. So if you've got 98% of people that have come to your website, so if you can go back and remind them to come back to your website again, then you're having it's a much more effective way to get people coming back to visit your site. And the 4th tactic for search engine marketing is called similar audiences. And this is an awesome feature for, you can basically load up your prospect lists or your customer lists into Google, and then Google will go and find people that look like or are similar to those emails. So that's an amazing feature to help really target people that are in the same audience area as your existing prospects or customers. And finally, the 8th pillar is social advertising. And I do put social advertising at the end of the pillars so that you can maximize your return on investment by having the other pillars in place. So if they come to your website, you're collecting their email address and you're sending them a welcome series. Or if people are shopping and they put something in the cart and they get distracted, they're going to get an abandoned cart series. So the cost-efficient strategies with social advertising are similar to the search engine marketing tactics that I talked about earlier. in the product catalog, if you have products, should be set up because it's the most cost-efficient return on ads, and that's similar to the Google Shopping feature. And then definitely using retargeting and the lookalikes. Facebook does that as well. So that's the 8 pillars that form the foundation of the e-commerce framework for sustainable growth. If you would like me to take a closer look at your business's foundations, you can visit my website, claudianorth.com/EGA, which stands for e-commerce growth assessment. You can complete the assessment, that will come to me, and then I can get in touch with you to have a discovery call. I've also written a book called the E-commerce Growth Framework, and that's available on Amazon if you did want to learn more about the framework. Thank you for your time. Back over